welcome to the sixth episode of season 11 of Productized Podcast. So today I have the pleasure to have Mr. Tim Vieira with me and having this very much expected conversation. So let me just do a quick bio intro to Tim. Tim joined the Management Administration of Business course at UNISA in South Africa. He dropped out to build his own business in 1993. Tim established one of the first independent breweries in South Africa, and later he also joined the executive program at Chicago Booth School in London, in the UK. Today, Tim is the CEO of Brave Generation Academy, which provides every learner with a specialized and holistic education. Tim has other investments in agriculture, services, IT, human resources, cinema production, real estate, energy, tourism, and currently the establishment of an investment fund for opportunities here in Portugal. Welcome, Tim. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you, André, for having me. Real pleasure to be here.
And it's, now that we are neighbors.
Yeah, we're neighbors now as well, so it's extra easy. And after hearing that bio and hearing that I dropped out and now I'm doing education, that's different. No, but all good.
I didn't know that actually until very recently.
No, all good. Been keeping busy, really busy, but been enjoying it. So lots going on at the moment. It seems like that rest of COVID. It was just to build energy for everything coming out afterwards. So I'm really enjoying it.
Great. So end of the first quarter, entering now the second. How is the year going?
Really good. I think I'm so busy that I actually feel guilty because I haven't been giving much attention to what's going on in the world. And I know there's lots going on in the world, but I've also realized that there's not much I can do to change it unless someone walks in front of me and I'm able to ride him over and change history. But other than that, I've been really busy. It's been back to traveling. I've just come back from getting my passport renewed. So I've got 2 passports. One goes in for visas always, and the other one I used to travel. And I looked at it now, and after 2 years that it was inactive, it sort of started getting busy again. So I just got back from the US, where we went to go look at how can I expand BGA into the US. And it was a really great trip, really positive. I'm off Monday back to Africa, where we've already got BGAs and we're opening some more. So super exciting with what's going on there.
So you already have BGAs in Mozambique, in Angola,
South Africa, Namibia, Angola. Yeah, Angola, we don't have it open, but it is going to be opening very soon. So that's my trip there, really, to get it done now.
You're going to Angola as well.
Yeah.
All right. So you enjoyed staying out of the crowd and developed entrepreneurial skills from young age. Can you tell us where you started? What was your first project? How you were discovering entrepreneurship? What is to be an entrepreneur, whatever that means?
Yeah, I think I discovered that I needed an entrepreneur to become independent and to give me, the possibility of doing things. So very early on, I understood that if I I didn't see it as entrepreneurship. I saw it as do something, get paid, and I've got money to do something else that I want to do. So it was very basic. And I think, I started very early on doing little things, doing things that I could sell to friends, parents. and maybe
like what?
Like I used to do these wooden peg rocking chairs. That was really the first thing, where with glue and stuff, you build a rocking chair that then you put on like a little vase or something like that. And I think, parents bought it because they felt like they needed to, because they wanted to support it. And it was great because it cost us nothing in raw materials, because we used to, find the pegs from our parents, break them up, and then, clothe pegs and then make the chairs. So I understood that, okay, you have to be selling all the time, and there needs to be a story behind it and a cause why we want to do it, etc. But parents seem to have bought, and I understood. How do we scale that into other ventures? And from there, just started carrying on all the time with new ideas. I had one parent told me, you're either going to be a big vagabond or a millionaire. Because of everything
One
you try
parent, from another kid.
from another kid, but he told his kid to stick with me, and that kid still sticks with me, and he came to Portugal because of me, and he's now working with me very shortly. So we're still best friends, so it's amazing how the parent was right. And, so I think that was my first steps. It was really about, I came from an immigrant family. How could I become independent? I didn't get it given to me, so I needed to go out there and make it happen. And I learned how to hustle very early on. I didn't know all the terms, but I knew that if you did something, sold it for more than it cost you to make, it would allow me to learn how to scuba dive. It would allow me to buy the bicycle I wanted, and it gave me independence. And I think that
those were still apartheid years in South Africa, right? So back in the 1980s, end of the 70s. So very different South Africa than it is today.
Yeah, very different South Africa. But if you go to Africa and Asia, you learn that you get given nothing. Sometimes I'm here in Europe and I see how people wait for incentives and grants and all these things that government's going to give them. In Africa and Asia, you're not waiting for that. You've got to go out, do it yourself. There's no easy way and I think it's actually a blessing in a way, because I think sometimes we do things in Europe for grants and for incentives, and we do the wrong things or go to the wrong places
because of the wrong incentives.
Because of the incentives and all that. And I think in Africa and Asia, people just get it done, and they just go ahead, and they know that they're not going to get anything. They don't even know if they'll get pension schemes, so they know they need to build something. And I think it builds a different entrepreneurship to European entrepreneurship, and maybe it's a mix of US and European, a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, you have just came from the US 2 weeks ago, or last week actually. How was that trip?
Yeah, it was great.
The entrepreneurial energy you found in Florida, and this news. I mean, states that are now getting a lot of the media attention they are post-COVID winners, so to say. Lots of people moving there, lots of people seeing action going on those states.
So I went to two places. I went to Florida, and then I also went to New York, and one's a winner, one's a loser at the moment. So exactly. Florida, different winner. And New York, I thought would be more of a loser than in the end, I noticed. And, Florida, yes, Florida is not even worried about the rest of the US. They're just worried about themselves at the moment because there's so much stuff going on, so much building, so much lack of human resources. Inflation is definitely going sky high there because of the demand for people, demand for product, accommodation, etc. And then, but there's a lot of talent that's moved there. There's a lot of money.
Why is it happening right now?
Really, just for the demand. The demand is bigger than the supply, So
people are rediscovering Florida, so to say. Is there any?
Yeah, I think people. The lockdowns in some of the states were severe. One of them being New York. So I think there's about 300,000 New Yorkers have moved to Florida. Yeah. And then you've also got South Americans that have moved to Florida, Venezuela. You've always had Cubans, but more Cubans than. Etc. and Brazilians and so on. So it's there is really a lot going on in Florida. A lot of money is coming to Florida because some people moved thinking they would move to Florida, and then when everything's back to normal in New York, they'd go back. But their families sort of are enjoying Florida. They're enjoying paying less taxes, so now they've got to be there for 181 days or whatever it may be, and they're not going back to New York and. So it's interesting to see how it's gone from a demographic where you thought Florida would only be for older people to now all of a sudden families and even young professionals that look at it and say, well, I can work from anywhere. Might as well work from where there's sun, beach, and value, because the value is still good.
Which is very similar if we boil it down to the value proposition that we could develop here in Portugal as well, right? We have sun, we have great beaches, great quality of life. So
it's exactly the same. It's lower exactly taxes. The same. Lower taxes, I would say, for locals, but for foreigners, there are incentives in lower taxes. And if you work out here, and if you get special visas that are available for foreigners, and that it actually is a very attractive. It's more the locals that it's not that attractive. And we're starting to notice that people are becoming immigrants from tax. Okay, and not going back to where they were from because of tax. So when I got to New York, I've never seen so many stores to rent. I've never seen so much office space to rent. It's literally,
which is great if you want to build a BGA network there. Because
it is great. They haven't dropped the prices yet because they got this hope that it will go. And I also believe New York will come back. When you're there, there's a special energy in New York. There really is. But what's been interesting is you see the demographics also changed. People that couldn't afford New York that were young are coming back into New York because all of a sudden they could afford a small apartment and they could afford a place to work. So it's exciting to see these cities being revitalized and changing demographically, and decisions that are made, by their superiors, by the mayors and all this, affecting it all the way right down. And then you obviously also have California losing people and going. It's really Arizona, Texas and Florida that are gaining. So it's interesting times.
Absolutely. And you got known by most Portuguese through your participation in the Portuguese Shark Tank TV show, I think 5 years ago or so. How did that happen? Can you give us some behind the scenes, how they did pick you up, or, because that team that they created for the Sharks was a very unique, very diverse team, so to say.
It was really by mistake. I think I tried to really help them out to find the shark, and then I didn't manage to get a shark to commit, and the program needed to go on board, so they said, well, then you can do it. So I wasn't really in media at that time. I wasn't really looking at doing anything like that. But I got to admit, I said, okay, I'll do the season. And it was fun. I met really interesting people. The other sharks, like you say, they were very interesting, very different.
Very different.
The ideas, very small scale, but, good people presenting them, people that were at least thinking and trying to do something when the economy was really going through a very, very tough time.
Very tough time.
So I think the biggest thing Shark Tank did was really just give people hope, tell them there are other ways of finding finance. In Portugal, it was really, you go to a bank, and obviously banks are not made to help entrepreneurs. They're good if you need a house or a car, but that's about it at the moment. So I think it was very interesting to listen to people and really just back people. It was more that than the products or the services that they wanted to implement. And overall, I think in Portugal, TV does help you to meet other people and to open doors. And I think that's what really happened with the show.
Mm-hmm. I must say that you were by far my favorite shark, because in my opinion, you understand what the TV show was about. I mean, one, that it is a TV show that is, first and foremost, it must be entertaining, must be fun, definitely not a VC board. And it's also about trusting, like I said, the entrepreneurial spirit of the person, not so much the idea behind the project. And I saw the other sharks very formal, very Portuguese, if you like. And you had this much more funny, relatable attitude that made you very popular, to be honest, because nobody knew, or at least not from and now. And suddenly I was seeing you on magazines and people doing interviews and suddenly being invited for all kind of shows and media outlets. So what do you think is the balance, on a more personal, professional balance of your participation, your own participation?
Yeah, I think I didn't take it as serious as maybe the others did. I think I was also totally authentic. It is where I am. I do take things a little bit lighter. I think I want to have fun in life, and I want to see the good things in life, and I want to believe, everyone's going to be good and everyone wants to try and make it work. So that's the spirit that's in me, and I didn't want to be different. I wanted to stay authentic to the way I'm in normal. So I really enjoyed it. I think I must have had more fun than they did, definitely. I know I definitely had more work afterwards because,
because you became a prominent investor in lots
I did more investments. So, investments take time. And obviously, like I said, they were quite small, but lots. So it was hard work and
lots of mentoring to some of those
lots of
entrepreneurs.
mentoring, and many of them, like 80% definitely didn't work. But it was nice to spend those times with people and actually, sometimes it's not monetary things that don't, you can't value it only in monetary that it didn't work, because I'm still friends with them. I still, I saw them grow. I saw them try things. And that's what I really wanted from the show. And that's why I committed to the one season, and let's see how it goes. But it was hard work. I didn't have the team to actually carry on and do a second show and a third or whatever season, because it really is. I took it super serious. I really gave it all for a period. And I also saw, the difficulties that entrepreneurs go through in Portugal, and they really are difficult. You start a startup, you've got costs from the start. It doesn't matter if you make money or not. There are taxes, there are difficulties, there's bureaucratic time wasting. There's a lot of difficulties, and I really got to understand that, and I really started to value entrepreneurship in this country. I value, and I really, I respect anyone who tries to create wealth in this country and create employment and pays taxes and salaries, because it really is tough.
Still, you say that you are an ambassador to Portugal, right? And I've heard you lots of times in other podcasts and other shows, talking about the potential and why you have chosen to live in the country, because you were not living here before. So why exactly Portugal, and how did you? How did you find this potential that we were speaking about just before?
Yeah, look, I'm not here because I have to be here, and that's something that I respect, from the country. So if I just want to complain about the country, I should leave. So I could be anywhere. I could be, living in Florida as well.
Yeah.
But the reality is, I really love this place. I think it is got this huge potential. It's in the center of the world. It's got incredible talent. It's got great food, sun, everything you need. But yes, I do get disappointed with it, because I see the potential. If I didn't see the potential, I wouldn't complain.
Of course.
So for me, it's sometimes, I complain, but I am trying to make a difference. I am trying to make things better. If I look at why I'm invested and going to sleep late and waking up early every day, it's because of education. And I know that can change the way we move forward and do things. At the same time, I know that by talking about politics and telling people to go out and vote and rethink who they vote and how they do it, I know that, youngsters can also change this country. But I really just feel like, we've got this huge potential. Like really, and also being a small country, we could actually very easily just copy paste a few ideas from somewhere else, and this place would go quicker. There's a few things we just need to do. Obviously, just removing a bit of bureaucracy would definitely give us a few GDP points in growth. Helping the way we have our judiciary working would really, eliminate a portion of the corruption we go through, which is also pushed on by bureaucracy. So there's a few small steps that we could take that would make big differences. And
and unfortunately, you are. We live. Well, let me put it this way: you are based in Cascais. Hello, and which is the city west of Lisbon, and further west of Lisbon. You still have Oeiras in between. So where you started the Brave Generation Academy, like that was your test ground, that was your lab to test the Brave Generation. Do you have any relationship with the Cascais municipality, with the city council, to improve policies, to make it? I know that the mayor went to Brave Generation Academy a couple of weeks ago. What is the institutional relationship of Brave and also of Tim the entrepreneur, which is a very well-known entrepreneur, with some of the policy changes that you would like to see implemented? And you just talked about them.
I think that Cascais is probably one of the best examples in the country of getting things done and actually understanding that entrepreneurs want things to happen, because the worst thing for entrepreneurs is time. you're losing time, you're losing money. So I think the municipality definitely understands that entrepreneurs add value to a region. I think it's one of the regions that receives most tax and yet also give most benefits. You've got free transport, there's great services, so when you're paying and receiving, you feel like it's fair. It's a safe place. They contribute towards even the police. So a lot of those little things make a big difference.
They make.
I think it's a very welcoming, let's say, municipality to new projects. Their biggest difficulty is they just don't have all the space that's needed to do some of these projects. So we definitely know that they get behind it. They definitely try and see how they can help, and they also don't get in the way, which is a big thing. Sometimes you don't need help; you just need no one getting in your way. And I think that's what they're really good at doing. They do run it a lot like a business. I think they themselves are kind of a chairman and CEO, and people work towards that. So it is exciting. It is nice to see that you can make a difference, even in politics, if you think entrepreneurial, And I think not
if
everyone...
you think entrepreneurial inside government, inside
because I think you don't have to be an entrepreneur. You don't need to open a startup. You can be entrepreneurial within a company, within your own life, within a family, and definitely within politics. If as soon as someone starts becoming entrepreneurial in politics, you see the support that comes all around it. And then, 18 months down the line, you see the results. And I think that's very, very exciting for anyone who tries it, So, but you do have to get out of that comfort zone of politics and of not doing things differently. You need to start doing things differently. And yes, you'll make some mistakes and you will be, hated by some. But overall, if you look back 18 months back, it's more positive. So that's okay. You know what I'm saying? So you're not going to make everyone happy, but if it's going in the right direction, good.
The difference. All right. So I know that you are an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs don't have typical days, but what does a typical Tim Vieira's work vision looks like? Do you wake up early? How early is that? What do you do first thing in the morning? That kind of life hacks.
I used to do a walk early in the morning with my dog. That sort of fell away a little bit because I've started to run out of time in a way because of my travel. When I'm here, I'm trying to get everything done. But more maybe, I don't have a typical day because I only actually look at my day every morning. So I've got an assistant that just books the meetings. I look at it. I get done. I don't like to know the day before because, I don't want to think about it at night. It's I've got enough things to think about. I spend a lot of my time now definitely on the education, definitely a lot on it, probably 90% of my time, 10% on the development and tourism. And I've got teams that run all the rest, so it's I'm actually doing what I love. And I think that's my biggest blessing at the moment in life is that I'm doing what I love. I've got my family that can do what I love because of what I've done, so because of the way I've set up BGA, they can actually travel with me. So, my wife traveled with me now into the US. All my kids are traveling with me into South Africa and Angola.
How old are they?
17, 15, and 12.
So they are still in very much the BGA train.
Yeah, they're all in the BGA train. So, and because of them, I did really BGA because I just couldn't carry on doing this traditional system that didn't allow me to do my lifestyle. And I didn't feel like they were even getting much out of it because I think lifestyle educates you, and experiences educate you. And everything was stopped. It was like, everything stopped in your teenage years. And then when you leave school, you start living. And I don't think it is like that. I think you need to live during your teenage years. And you don't need to stop living. You actually need to find your passions and your purpose so that you have a better life for the rest of your life. So that's what I'm super excited with because then in June, I'm taking my kids and they're going to be with me in the US opening the hub. So they will be like operations directors, and they super know the product and the service we give with the product. So it will be brilliant to have them there. And for myself, I'm not missing out on anything. Actually, I'm doing more than ever with them. So
do you have any hobbies yourself? Or I know that you have been a rugby player, that you're still very active in the rugby community here in Portugal.
Yeah, I love the rugby community. I love, cricket. I love supporting all those kinds of things that are a little bit different. I still love football and all that as well, but they don't need much support. It seems like, there's enough for that.
There's enough for that.
But I love that. I obviously love being able to spend some time with friends and so on. One of my biggest hobbies was getting down to Zambujeira do Mar and enjoying that area. I'm stuck a little bit with that. It hasn't been happening as much as I want to.
You have an investment there as well?
Yeah, so I've got land there and a house there, and we rent out land for farming there. So, where we build the infrastructure and yet the farmers run it and we get a yield. So it's like a perfect partnership. So I can't say I've now got a hobby, but I'm living my life as if, I couldn't want anything better, and I think that's what's really nice about it. That's why I don't get tired.
Living the best version of.
Yeah, no, I see people that say, "How come you don't get stressed or you're not tired?" And I'm not, because I'm doing stuff I love, And then when you do things you love, you don't notice it. It's like when you start dating and you've got a new girlfriend, you might travel, go to sleep late, wake up early, everything, and you're fine. You know what I'm saying? It's when you're not having a good life that you're tired.
So recently you've completed this world trip with your family that took you 180 days.
Yeah.
And how many countries did you visit? Which ones were the ones that strike you the most? And what was the goal? And some of, those moments that you take from that trip that you say, okay, maybe we need to change this, or maybe I need to do this. I think education was also one of the outcomes.
No, I think every 2 to 3 years I want to do something big with my kids. Now I'm lucky because I can do it every year. Mm-hmm. But that trip, what was amazing was getting onto a train, going through Russia, Mongolia, China, doing Vietnam, then and Thailand and Malaysia, Singapore, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and back here. And
not everyone can do that. Let's be very honest about it.
I think
it's not,
more
not
people,
just because of education.
No, but I think more people can do it than they believe they can do it. We stayed at people's houses, we stayed at hotels. Obviously, we stayed in camper vans. It was a whole mix of things and experiences, and that's really what we wanted. We rode camels, we rode horses, we on boats, we on planes, drove cars, we on the trains that I mentioned, etc., etc. And I think that's the biggest thing I'll leave for my kids. I'm hoping not to leave much money for them, because I want to blow it all before I leave. Myself and my wife, we're getting excited about that. We call it the divorce that's coming, when our kids divorce us, and then we can go and I want to leave them those experiences. I want to leave them a really nice education, and that I'm not even talking about universities and that. I'm talking education of life, so that they will be the best humans, or not even the best humans, but better humans than me. Mm-hmm. I think that's what I would like from them. So
did you feel the parent-child relationship improves when the bonding improves when you do this?
Yeah, definitely. I don't even see my kids as my kids. I see them as my friends. Like many times we fist bump, BFF. You know what I'm saying? And it really is that. And they come talk to me about things and all that. And you said not everyone can do that, but it's not about money. It's actually about time and love. If you have those two things, the rest just happens. They never come and tell me, "Oh, I need money from you, Dad." I just need time and love. And when I take them to rugby, or I see so many parents that are less busy than me that spend a lot less time with their kids, but they watch a lot more Netflix than I do. You know what I'm saying? Right. So my balance, and it's really about getting to know my kids, becoming their friends, and passing something on to them, because I see it as, in the future, it's less problems for me, and hopefully better for the world.
And better for them, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so you're now full-time focused on the Brave Generation Academy. What is this academy about, and how did it start?
Yeah, I'd say that this academy is really about diversifying your options in education. It's about coming through and thinking, what do we need today for education, instead of just being comfortable in doing what we've been doing for 200 years, which is not working. You look at people that I employ and you look at their skills. They might have skills, but then they don't have attitude, or they might not even have the right skills and lack attitude, which is even more difficult to resolve. So I looked at, how could we do some kind of education system using today's technology that would give us more, never less, that would equip us for what's needed today, that would get kids to find their purpose a little bit earlier, so they don't waste time. And it would really make it personal, and that they could do it themselves, would empower them, would start giving them, what they need to do, become persistent and all those kind of things. So we looked at how we could put, technology for that, and that we made a platform, a digital platform. But at the same time, like I said, we always want to add more. So we thought we need to have these hubs where they can interact and they actually come there. And in these hubs, we have what we call learning coaches, where these learning coaches actually help the kids they don't teach the kids, they teach them how to learn. They teach them how to work as with each other, peer to peer. They go out and find interest that these students of ours, our learners, might have, and then let them go do it. So they get them shadowing jobs. We do the international British curriculum, RGCs and A levels, but at the same time, we've got our own curriculum, Brave and Beyond, which gives you entrepreneurship, leadership, time management. And that one isn't a curriculum that parents go over, but they need to do that curriculum. But for me, it's a very important curriculum, because when I look at it and I'm going to employ someone, I don't normally look at their geography mark, but I would like to know, do they work well with a team? Have they got critical thinking? Are they creative? Can they manage their time? Well, those kind of questions. And I think that's what we want to really bring on board. And slowly we actually starting to see even tertiary educating universities and colleges, etc., that actually are starting to give value to that. So, we help to have a student between the age of 12 to 18, not just cope with their lives during this period and wait until they're 18 to start living, but actually thrive through this period. And we do that by getting out their way, giving them something they like to do. If it's crypto, we'll get them into crypto. If it's this, they get into this. And still they know, okay, let me do my academics now at my own pace, write exams, maybe, they can choose May and November. It's not once a year. Take holidays when they want to take holidays with their parents. So it all changes. It's a lot of little changes that make big differences.
And what was the insight that you had? So were you frustrated with the current model? You had your kids and said, they're kind of stuck here in school.
I felt guilty with the current model because, it was easy for me. I just go there, drop off my kids and in the evening, get them back again. But I could see that they weren't doing the things they loved. They love sports and music, and they were having to do that at 5 o'clock onwards. And they would still get homework, and they, get tired and etc. So when I looked at this model, I thought, how can we do 4 or 5 hours a day of schooling and then do your sport, do your music?
And did you hire any educational experts or a company to help you, design the concept in the beginning? Or
look, it was a lot of common sense. We worked a lot with common sense. I spoke to many people that I value their opinions, starting with teachers.
Here in Portugal, I bet you might have heard Ministério de Educação, the Ministry of Education will never let you do something like that.
No, constantly, and if we just go with what we can't do, but not what we should do, then again, we would do very little, So I think at the moment, the Ministry of Education has understood what we're doing. It's not a threat; it's an opportunity to make things better. So,
and you definitely innovating also in the European landscape, and even in the American landscape.
Yeah,
with
definitely.
This model,
so it's
right?
exciting
it's
to see.
To my knowledge, very innovative concept.
No, it is, and actually, a lot of people afterwards
this is not a franchise. This is not something you are bringing to Portugal. It's actually a made in Portugal educational
made in
concept.
Portugal, tested in Portugal. 15 hubs, and we then started going abroad. The US, the same thing. They look at it and they're like really amazed, and then after they see it, they say it's actually quite simple, and that's the difficulty is making it simple,
Right.
that you can scale it, because education isn't easy to scale. And you look at what we're doing, it's not just a digital platform. It's really, you got to set up the hub, prepare the hub, get learning coaches, train them, hire them, put them in, talk to parents. It's a job. But it's an exciting job because we see the difference we're making. When you see kids really start to blossom after being there for a month, you know it's worth it because parents are happier. So that's something else we've changed. We really concentrate on the learners, not on the parents. And I think when we're making these learners happy and they are keen to learn and to be at the academy, then the parents start becoming happier, and all of a sudden you've got happier families. So. And the world has changed. You might want to work in Lisbon and go to the Algarve on Fridays. Well, you can, and your kid can still go to school in the Algarve or up to Porto. Or you might be divorced and you living in Port and your wife's living in Lisbon, and your kid goes a week to Port and a week to Lisbon. So having these different hubs opens up a whole new way of living and a much better lifestyle for many people.
And they can roam if they need to.
Yeah, they can roam. They're nomads if they want to be. We got kids that have been to various different hubs and have actually, they got friends in different hubs. They got learning coaches that they've met in different hubs. And then they go play tennis in a different hub with a different coach. So it's really, it's simple stuff that really does, change lives. I think that's what's lovely about it.
All right. So I really understand lots of the value prop, the upside, and I think that's super interesting for kids that either have interests on their own. But one of the criticisms that in a learning model, which is essentially based on a digital platform, they end up spending too much time watching screen the entire day. And do you think this is a fair criticism? This is just work life actually looks like, so you better get used to it as soon as possible, or is there something there that maybe it's not?
Yeah, so I think all criticism is fair, and definitely fair, because your work is on a platform. And the platform allows you to do subjects that you couldn't do at a traditional school, and it allows you to go at your own pace. But you are in a hub with other kids, and you've got other kids that help you to resolve problems and to learn. And the truth about it is, yes, you might be at our hubs 4 hours on the platform, but then we push you to go ride a horse, to do tennis, to go out and do music, do shadowing in a job, and that means you're not on a screen. Okay, in traditional schools, you might be at a school where you're not on a screen. You've got books, you're writing, you're listening, great. But as soon as you leave school, you go onto a screen. So there's two ways of looking at this. That we need the screens, yes, to make it a lot more flexible, a lot more personalized, and those are two huge benefits. And then we use the learning coaches to actually get you out there and start doing things. We use your own peers. We've got kids from 12 to 18 in the same hub. So you've got kids that are older that can actually influence other kids positively to try things out. So I think it's always a mix. What we try to definitely do is that our mix has got all the benefits that we're able to do from offline and the benefits of online, and mix the two, and hopefully we got a really great product.
And it's definitely a product. It's a product that is expanding quite fast, because you have started maybe 2 years ago, and now you already have 14 hubs in Portugal alone. You are in Africa. You are going to the US very, very soon, maybe to South America as well. And Latin America. So, has any entrepreneur, are you afraid of competition? Because people might look at it and say, oh, such a simple model, just a room, and I hire some coaches and I go take a platform and I set my own version of PGA. Do you think this is something that can happen, or you have such a strong competitive advantage right now that maybe competitors are not going to have such an easy life?
Yeah, definitely we will have competitors, and I think it'll actually be a good thing, because it is an industry we need to change, and with competitors, it actually helps us all to grow, because it's definitely there's opportunities for many more. It's like saying Uber wasn't going to get Cabify and Bolt and all these others, and obviously who lost out was taxis. So because when someone tries BGA, they don't go back to traditional schooling. Okay, and
do you have any numbers to back that claim? Do you have any students saying,
well, just since September, we've got close to 500 students, and they've all come from traditional schooling, basically. Maybe 2% were homeschoolers, but
and out of those, that population, maybe not even 1% gave up on that model.
Not even 1% have gone back onto traditional
That's
schooling.
a very strong claim, right?
It's a very strong claim, because we are a product, but based on service. So if we give great service, there is no reason you go back to something that isn't working for the learner, isn't working for parents, isn't working for companies, isn't working for futures. Because if I tell you, you're going to ask me, but how's yours working? Well, I'll tell you if you go up to 45 years old nowadays and ask them, are they happy? Maybe 85% say no, because they're doing the wrong thing. They didn't follow their passion. They don't have purpose in life. Well, they all went, I can tell you 100% of those people went to a traditional school. So the way we look at it is we don't want to have those 45-year-olds. We want them to find purpose, find a passion, everything earlier, and hopefully they won't say that. So when we work with that in mind, and you work with every question we answer, is it best for the learner? It's very, you're not actually worried about them going back to traditional school, etc., because we only worried what's good for them. And if good for them is going back to a traditional school, it wouldn't even be a problem. Okay, so I think, and they've got that possibility always, because we're still doing a curriculum, the British International Curriculum, that you're doing, that you can go back to a traditional school.
Right.
So we never limit the options. Okay, and I think that's very, very important. But, we do more subjects. We do them at our own pace. It's very personalized. Your holidays is in your thing. You've got all these, your product has got all these benefits. And then our service is that we've got these amazing learning coaches that really connect with kids and are able to get the best out of a student. And I think that's where traditional schools have a huge problem as well, because their teachers are, preparing lessons, doing Excels, internal politics, parent politics, and they've got very little time for the learner. We are totally the other way around. Our learning coaches don't prepare lessons, don't have politics, and our product is, a hub with 2 great learning coaches on an amazing platform, and it works. So definitely competition will come.
Absolutely. Of course, one of the biggest acid tests to the model is DA tests, right? The university enrollment. How many of your students are actually able to get into university and perform well at the tests? Do you have already? I believe last September or last July, you already had this first batch of students actually doing the exams. Yeah. How did that go?
Yeah, so we had our first students who did their first IGCSE exams, and it was well above average. Above average of the examination of private schools.
Definitely in Portugal.
And you look at what they all achieved. Each one of those students got an A, at least one A, and the worst was a 6 out of 9. So it's not bad. And and it was students that sometimes didn't want to really, academics wasn't their strength, but by being confident, by being prepared, by going at their own pace, it changed the whole life. Going to university, it really doesn't, there's no limits on this, because it's the same Cambridge curriculum that every other school does, and it's the same one recognized by over 850 universities in the US with credits for first year A levels. It's recognized in another 20,000 universities worldwide, so it doesn't limit you anywhere. The thing is, do we only prepare for university? We don't. We're actually preparing for life, because we've got kids that maybe will just do Google certification, Microsoft certification. We might have others that actually want to go directly into the working world. There's a huge demand at the moment for people, and if they learn on the job, and there are companies that actually prefer to know how to teach on the job, they want no degrees. So we are actually doing what the learner. We're not based on rankings. It's not something we're talking about how well we did, etc., because for me, our success is how happy our kids are. You know what I'm saying? That's
Right.
really where we look at it.
Net promoter score.
Yeah.
All right. So the learning is in English, and what's the split here in Portugal? What is the percentage of Portuguese? Because one of the ways that people see, or at least that I tend to think of PGA is, and I think you said it before in another podcast, you are giving Portuguese families the possibility to, Portuguese and non-Portuguese, of course, but Portuguese families on average tend to have lower income than foreigners living in Portugal, or at least expats, and to have them on international curriculum.
Yeah.
So, what is the current split of Portuguese versus foreigners?
Yeah, our current split is a 50-50. But the Portuguese really are growing, and we see that, we've got the north opening a lot of new hubs. We've got 3 new hubs coming up in the north.
Where? In Porto?
In Maia, UNISA, and in Sonai at their head offices.
Right. And Sonai already has another school that actually built from
Correct.
scratch.
And we're also working with FNR to put a BJ in that school. So this is what's amazing.
That's a meta concept a little bit. What's the idea of doing a BJ inside?
So they've got a school that's Portuguese, and we're putting a BJ in their school for kids that want to be doing it in the English curriculum, because you've got Portuguese universities, Nova, Católica, Técnico, that are in English, and it's a little bit tough for anyone who wants to go to those for the first year, arriving there and having to become fluent in all the terminology, et cetera. So, it's great to see Sonai getting on board with this. And with Sonai, it's really super interesting because they're going to be giving scholarships, and we will match their scholarships to anyone who receives a minimum salary from them. So it's exciting times. So
you're really democratizing the international curriculum to people that otherwise cannot even.
100%, because when you were speaking about competition and that, look, if you're going to compete with us, you have to know that it's profit for purpose. So we're not here to make the profit. The purpose is more kids. So we work it into scholarships. And that's why every scholarship Sonai gives, we match it. Okay. And I think I'm lucky enough to be in a situation in my life where I'm not profit, money, and I don't have investors that I have to answer to. So I think that's where we also see that there will be a lot of this, where we will be able to work with Portuguese schools. We'll be able to work with international schools, where we will actually open in international schools, because we do subjects they can't get teachers for. They can't get a teacher sometimes for travel and tourism if only 2 kids, 3 kids, 4 kids are doing it. But they can do it on our platform.
That's interesting, and that's a novel perspective to me. So you're saying that you would open inside an international school that would otherwise be seen as a natural competitor.
Yeah, it's not. We will. We might. We will. We are going to. So
you are competing for the same student. That student is not going to pay.
Not really, because even if you look at our international schools, it is a different market. Not everyone can be in an international school. We are about a third of the price of an international school. That alone takes away a lot of who could go to that international school.
Yeah,
many people who go to the international school, they want this tradition and past and prestige of being at that school.
I'm thinking, for instance, Lisbon United, which is the brand new school here in Lisbon, international school. Why would it make sense for them specifically to have a BGA inside? If you were pitching this,
let's say that we have 4 or 5 subjects that they don't do. Well, we would do those 4 or 5 subjects. Okay, and all of a sudden they offer more to their students. It always depends, Andrea. Do they want to do what's best for students, or do they want to do what's best for the bottom line? Right. Okay, when it comes to doing best for learners, we have to sometimes compromise and work with others.
You would work as in a complement to
we are complement. So instead of just, it would be like you've got your sports division. You would have this division that would actually
so
help
they
you
would
to
be doing regular class and a couple of hours per day. They go to
at
PGA.
any single time,
Any single time.
at any time that suits their like let's say traditional school schedule.
Yeah. All right, got it. All right. Speaking about,
and we're looking at opening with Farfetch at their offices
in UNISA.
In UNISA, but at Farfetch head offices in Braga, in Porto, and
the idea is that parents are close to their kids.
Exactly, and they come back to work because many aren't coming back to the office, and also for recruitment. It's a big call when you can say, listen, let's have a school, because all of a sudden we can recruit people and they've got their kids doing a great curriculum in their own way, going on holiday when they want. If they change and go live somewhere else, they can just plug in again. And also for retention of staff. So it's a win, it's on either same thing, So when we start seeing companies thinking differently about it, imagine a country that thought differently about it, what would happen, because we're not against teachers. We've just got a system that even allows teachers to be better.
Yes. But as you know, the Portuguese Ministry of Education is the biggest employer in Portugal. They have an army of, I don't know, it's bigger than the Ukrainian army for sure. Hundreds of thousands of people.
But imagine having a happy army doing what they want, because all those teachers have an ambition to.
But the ratio per student is lower when you have coaches that can spend.
Well,
so you would not
think about
need
teachers that
teachers.
will be the coaches on 2 to 30 kids, and think about it that we offer this at cheaper than what the Portuguese government costs them to look after a child.
That's a surprising thing.
So that's the thing.
That's the thing. Okay, Ricardo, the digital platform, and this is a question that sometimes it's a little bit confusing to me from what I try to understand from what I read. You went to the market and you purchased license from an existing digital educational platform, and now you are developing on top of it. You have like a product team.
Correct. So we have 17 teachers. Okay. That every day improve those platforms, put more into it. Our students can themselves put more stuff onto it. We've got partnerships with Cognito to put more content onto it. So a whole lot of information that gets on, so it just keeps getting better by the day. And my aim was never to go out and do a platform, because I believe lots of platforms will come. Lots of better platforms than I'll ever create will come. I want to be let's say the base where these platforms can work from. I want to be the place where they work from, the distribution, because I'm doing the hard work, teaching the learning coaches, putting in the kids, getting the space, you know what I'm saying? But I really want to be an ecosystem for different ideas, because they're going to come. I promise you, Andrea, they are being worked on. There's lots of stuff going on.
Absolutely. Lots of great edtech companies being created and already in the market. Actually, we have a question here from YouTube live stream. Hello, Andrea and team. Great podcast so far. Any plans around BGA version specifically for sports athletes? We have young sports athletes in Portugal that have a heavy school schedule. Thanks, and keep being brave.
Yeah, definitely. Look, we've got one opening now in Pinhal Novo that's actually at a sports academy. We've got in Cape Town, in Belleville Football Academy. In Florida, it's going to be at an academy, a tennis and golf academy. We've got Royal Lobby, which will be definitely to do with golf.
In Royal, what's the name?
Royal Lobby.
Royal Lobby,
yeah.
Okay.
And then the other thing is that any one of our academies works for sportsmen. So we've got the German skating champion that will be going to an Olympics. We've got lots of surfers, horse riding.
Because
we have two horse riding.
They can surf according to the
when there's waves,
there's
and
waves
do school when there's no waves.
waves.
We've got two of our hubs are at the hippodromes. You know what I'm saying? So it's so easy for us to do it. We just need the interest. As soon as there's interest, we now at the moment we've got someone that runs a football academy in Atlanta, Georgia. So definitely that's somewhere where we can go, because all of a sudden You can be traveling, playing a tournament, and you can still log on, do your work, come back, and you're not behind. You're at your own speed. You take holidays when you need to. So yeah, for sure. If you're interested to know more about it, or you've got a place that we should go, you just let us know and we'll be there. It really is that easy, because we know how difficult it is for sportsmen, and it shouldn't be a choice of your sport or your school. It should just work, and I think that's what we can do.
So we were speaking a little bit about transformation as a whole for the entire system. How bullish are you that this model can actually work for more than a niche of the student population? Because I totally see Brave Generation Academy working for accomplished athletes or kids with very specific interests or kids that have developed specifics around certain topics, and they really want the freedom to. But what about the other 90%?
The system's super versatile. If it's academics you want, well, you work hard at academics, you go a lot quicker than at a traditional school. If it's not academics, something else, great. If it's balance in life, you can do balance in life.
Lots of people ask, okay, yes, Tim, that's all great, but what about chemistry class and doing experimentations in a lab or that kind of more practical stuff that you cannot learn or learn
of course we can do it.
You can do it
because we do it during summer school. So if that's what you're really interested in it, your learning coach will arrange that you do it. Yes, you'll do your first chemistry, watching it on YouTube, understanding it and seeing experiments that blow your mind. And then he will organize it when needed. You can go do it.
That's actually very funny, because he's talking about,
because we're not going to build chemistries. We're not going to do this, but we can, there's so much infrastructure that already exists. And that's how we use sustainability.
That's really fun, because that's also how kids end up finding interesting. So my oldest kid is 13, and he's already arranged to try BJ. Actually, that's how I got to know BJ in the first place, because we tried to do a demo at one of trial at one of your schools here in Lisbon, or one of the hubs, better said. And 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, he came to me, hey Dad, can you look at this YouTube video of this guy's brewing beer, craft beer?
You see,
he's certain, right? So that seems funny. Hey, you should buy this wheat and
do it.
Then let's do it ourselves. And like, are you really serious about it? Yes, let's do it. So we ended up buying this kit from Amazon, and we just spent the weekend cooking our own.
Brilliant. You see, that's the way it should be.
I've never done it in my life, so it was actually, I learned a lot, because I had no idea how to do it myself.
Brilliant. And André,
for him the same.
And another thing, you talk about where we can take this. Can you imagine the kids that are in Maputo now? We open Kenya on the 22nd of the month. They will be getting the same education that someone in London, Lisbon is getting, and that's opportunities. And then the way we look at it in so many of our markets is, we work it out that it's super competitive.
There are also great people in those countries for the learning coaches.
Amazing people. And many people want to really give back and really influence these kids' lives. And you look at it, and the way we work on it, we have 15 kids who can pay, 10 kids who can pay 50%, and 5 kids who don't pay. So we're actually able to even, assist in everything that's happening, which is the biggest problem, income gap. Where the ones who have more will just keep having more, and the ones falling behind. And I think that's a big thing.
For BGA, yes, but for the rest, I mean, it's an ecosystem. It takes a village, like they say, right, to raise a kid. And the way that I see your model is really, look, school is just one of the pieces of the very complex puzzle, because you need schooling, you need to learn the basics and the curriculum, but then you need education. It's a very wide thing, right? You need to go to sports, you need to do beer home, or to do chemistry experience somewhere else, whatever it is, right? So building that piece of the puzzle, I see it, but the rest of the piece,
it's
the
all
rest
there.
of the
Everything's around us. Everything is around us, and there are people that are willing to help all around us. It's it's limitless.
You try to build an ecosystem around it.
You look at tennis courts. You know, if obviously in Kenya, tennis courts are going to be more difficult to find, but you've got fishing, you've got other things. So you adapt to the region around. Now your academics, well, you've got the same standard, you've got the same opportunities. You can do your Google certification, and all of a sudden you can be in Nairobi online working for an American company, earning a much better wage that you would ever were earning. Now, we're not a miracle. You know, we can't change the whole income gaps and change the world, but we're doing it in the most, for me, the most important place, which we always say education is the future, but we keep saying it, but we do nothing about it. This is the first time we're actually executing plans to start changing that 12 to 18-year-old, because in smaller kids, there's a lot going on. But this gap, it's very tough. Okay. And then tertiary, there are also things happening. You know, you've got Pedro Santa Clara with 42 Lisboa. And just like him, you've got a lot of things that are coming up. And that's exciting as well. And they are not even worried. Did you do your A-levels?
Do you have already any PGA student enrolling in 42?
No, but I'm sure we will. And I'm sure they will enroll at 17, you know, without a doubt. And I think that's what's amazing about it, because, you know, at Pedro Santa Clara, he's not even going to ask our student, did you complete your A-levels?
Yeah.
Do you understand?
No, they don't care. But they don't care.
But this is what I'm saying. It's a big world out there that's changing very fast. So
it is.
For us, you know, I'd rather have a student that I give, let's say 42, that is persistent, that's self-disciplined, that's positive, confident, has great attitude, than, you know, just getting someone who's gone because that's what he could do. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Totally into that. All right. So the Rugby Youth Festival is coming in this weekend, the 9th and the 10th of April. It's taking place in Estádio Universitário de Lisboa, here in Lisbon. What is going to happen?
Well, it's something that used to happen every year until COVID hit, and it's the biggest youth festival of rugby in Europe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, biggest. And it's really a wonderful time to just go see youngsters playing rugby, getting out there. And I don't know how much you know about rugby, but it really is a team sport.
I know
it's a sport where you need fat people, thin people, fast people, tall people. You need everyone. You start to learn that you pass the ball backwards to go forwards. You understand the importance of teamwork and of relying on your team, because if you don't rely on them, you get smashed. Okay, and I think it's just amazing because there's international teams coming through again, so it's just getting back to normal,
and,
you know,
and the PGA community has been invited. It's also going to
be. So we sponsor. We're one of the sponsors, and I think it's very important that we get behind these kind of incentives, because, as you said, you know, we are an online platform, but we support all these real life, let's say, experiences. Okay, so we're there. We're the main sponsor for cricket, which has been growing in Portugal, even within little kids. So there we are. We did the beach football in Cascais now with Alain Cavalli, the twice FIFA World Player of the Year, and just an incredible guy who puts every day back into a sport he loves and has a super passion for it. So it's those little things that make differences, you know. So we're super excited with the rugby. You know, rugby's in my heart. I grew up in South Africa, so it's there. I've got my two boys that play rugby. So yeah, it makes sense that we involved with it. And
sure.
And also, you know, there's now, we also part of ASM. So we've made a partnership with ASM where we can actually take kids from Portugal in scholarship into universities in the US, not just for rugby, but football, swimming, golf, athletics. So it's exciting times.
So ASM is Americans.
American. They basically a sports management company that have lots of contacts at colleges and actually work on scholarships.
Yeah, I totally see youth football, soccer clinics here in Portugal as well, attracting kids from other countries, and while they're doing that in the summer or so, just continuing their education at PGA has temporary or all right. So we always kind of like to ask this question, which is, if you had 3 months for yourself to learn relatively new technology, where, let's say you could freeze time and no one's bugging you, no one's calling you, which would you choose? Where would you put your attention to get the deepest dive as possible in learning this new? It could be concept, could be technology, could be whatever you want, really.
It would really be the worst question for me because I'm really old school. Look, I don't have I don't even do emails. So, I've got an assistant that receives my emails.
It could be crypto. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I understand the question. But it would be very difficult for me to get in because I prefer to actually find people that are really good at it and put them working with me and or backing them. And I enjoy that I don't need to keep up to date. There's all these terms that come out and all of that. I relatively understand them, but I've never become, I use accounting and I've never gone into accounting. There's
so you are a virtuoso in delegating responsibilities.
I actually enjoy not trying to become an expert. So my strength has been that I always concentrate on my strengths, and my strengths are really people. It's thinking. Okay, but it's never going to be, I think a calculator was once I had to start using scientific calculators at school, I gave up on technology. I thought this is not for me. It's like too much. But I definitely admire people that are doing stuff. I work with them. We've got our own developers. We've got all that kind of stuff. But I really like to hear from them, and then I just like to keep them motivated to get to their best. And I think I wouldn't be able to do it. Crypto, I'm not in it because I don't understand it, and I'm good with that. But I do believe there's a big role for crypto, blockchain.
You don't have crypto FOMO.
No, definitely I don't. I definitely don't. Anything I can't explain to my kids, I'm out of it because and maybe I'm not intelligent enough or something, but I just it's not what I do. It's not what I do.
Best kind of intelligence.
And it's I really don't have a FOMO, and I'm not those kind of people that are cheering for it to bust. No, it's okay. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm meeting people that are doing well in it, and you know what? Those people are going to they're going to help others because they're doing well in it. They will, buy things, help the economy, invest in startups, and that's great. So anything that creates wealth, I'm actually for it. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't want to sleep at night not knowing what I don't know.
So let me ask you the question a little bit differently. Yeah. What kind of project would you give your full attention for 3 months to really push forward if you had to have this opportunity?
Really 3 months. If I couldn't do what I'm doing now, and it would be really difficult for me to just stop what I'm doing now for 3 months. But if it would be to learn the piano.
Okay.
I would want to learn the piano.
Right. Okay.
Because it sounds weird, but I've always said I'm going to learn the piano, and then it seems like everything goes wrong when I'm about to learn the piano. I've had teachers that have divorced and left, and others that the husbands have died, not even divorced. So I've just, I've never had a continuous thing. So I do the piano. I know it sounds a little bit weird, but it is. Okay. But at the moment, it is 100% into this, I think, and I'm lucky to do that.
And push it forward. All right. So finally, what words of advice would you give your younger self about to drop out student from UNISA in South Africa? What kind of words of wisdom would you say that younger team?
I would say drop out. I would say make all the mistakes you've made. I would say remember the mistakes you've made. I would say, marry the same person you married.
All right.
Have the same kids you've had,
So no regrets.
No. Look after the same family. Say thanks to God for the parents I've got, sisters I've got, friends I have. Yeah. So actually, I wouldn't have anything. Really, I wouldn't. If it said, oh, what could I say myself to be richer? I would say, be more focused on things. Before this education, I've only really been focused 3 times in my life. This is the 3rd time, and I have huge success when I'm focused. But I would have had a lot less fun. Okay, and I think I value that a lot. You know what I'm saying? So I might have said it to myself, but I wouldn't have done it.
Very well. All right. So, any recommendation to our listeners? Any go-to place, link, book? whatever.
I'd say watch a documentary on Netflix called The Short Game. I think that could be very interesting.
Short game. What is it about?
It's about 7 and 8 year old kids who go out and play the World Championship for kids in Pinehurst in North Carolina, and there's about 6,000 of them. And have a look and see these kids, and have a look at their parents, and learn from them. And especially one little kid who says a lot of truth. And you look at yourself and you say, how can these 7 and 8 year olds?
The golf championship for
kids, right. 7 and 8 year olds. So there's a guy there called Alan Kornikova. He's Anna Kornikova's brother. He's playing in it. They follow a South African kid. They follow a Chinese, a Filipino, a French. And absolutely lovely just to see that. See how easy kids make everything look, and how uncomplicated it is, and then how parents complicate things.
I bet.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Tim. It was really great having you with us. It was really a pleasure. Such an interesting conversation. Also, thank you for joining the Productized podcast. If you enjoyed your stay, give us your review on Spotify podcast and share this episode with friends and colleagues. You also will have the show notes and more episodes at productized.medium.com. Join the community. We'll be sharing the links about everything we spoke today on the podcast description. This podcast was hosted by me, André Marquis, with research my colleague Evelina Bogdun, and sound editing by Miguel Souza. Thank you guys. See you soon.